Please welcome to the stage President and CEO of D-Wave, Dr. Alan Baratz.
Good morning. Welcome to Qubits 2024. I'm personally honored to be here today and over the course of the next 2 days to have the opportunity to speak with you about everything from amazing new technology and products that we're working on bringing to the market, to compelling and innovative applications that our customers are working on to help improve their business operations, to scientific breakthroughs that are really redefining how people think about quantum computing, and especially annealing quantum computing, which is D-Wave's bread and butter today. Thanks to all of you for taking the time to be here, especially those of you that are here with us in historic Boston, as well as those of you that are joining us on the live feed. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, a nod to our legal team. Now that you've all had a chance to fully digest that, we can go ahead and move on. We are at a watershed moment for quantum computing. We are at the point where quantum computing is transitioning from research experimentation to real business applications in production, helping companies to improve their business operations. But there's only one company in the world that can say that, and that's D-Wave Quantum. And the reason why we can say that is we're the only company in the world that has quantum computers that are large enough and powerful enough to actually be able to support those applications. And we are just now at the point where we are seeing customers actually transition applications into production use. Over the course of the next 2 days, you'll have an opportunity to hear from many of our customers and the innovative and very important work that they're doing with our systems and with our technology. But you don't have to take my word for it. What I have here is a quote from Heather West at IDC. Heather actually may be in the audience. And I want to point your attention to the last sentence. Quantum annealing is a quantum computing technology available to enterprises today that can aid in solving complex optimization problems. There are 2 important points to take away from that. One is today, not 5 years from now, but today. We have the systems, we have the services today that businesses can use to leverage quantum in support of their business operations. The second point is optimization. Frankly, optimization is the low-hanging fruit for quantum acceleration. In fact, most of the important, hard problems that businesses need to solve are optimization problems. Things like workforce scheduling, supply chain logistics, manufacturing plant floor optimization. These are the types of things that we and our customers are working on to leverage quantum computing to develop and deliver better, faster solutions. But interestingly, in addition to this being a very important class of problems, it also happens to be the class of problems that D-Wave's annealing quantum computers are excellent at solving. In fact, in some sense, our annealing quantum computers are native optimizers. They can't do everything. They can do a lot, and they are excellent at solving optimization problems. In fact, what I have here is a chart that includes data from a study done by the QEDC. The QEDC is a US government lobbying group that includes all of the quantum companies. And this was a study that was done in collaboration with all those companies. May actually be the first real benchmarking of quantum computers on a useful problem. The problem here is max cut. It's a standard, exponentially hard optimization problem. The graph on the left shows D-Wave's results on solving the benchmark data set problems. Each row is a different size problem ranging from 4 nodes to 320 nodes at the top, which is the largest problem that QEDC worked on. And then the horizontal scale is the time to solve. And what you can see in the graph is that no matter what the size of the problem is, in relatively short order, including in the longest time frame, about 1/3 of a second, D-Wave was able to come up with excellent solutions. So how did the other companies do? Keep in mind, the other companies are all trying to bring to market gate model quantum computers, not annealing quantum computers. They're very different, and frankly, not very good at optimization. If you look at the table on the top right, you can see that in the case of D-Wave, we achieved 98% of optimal at problem size 320 in a fraction of a second. That's what I showed you in the graph on the left. IBM, 75% of optimal at problem size 6. Couldn't go larger than 6, 100 times slower than the D-Wave system. INQ, 80% of optimal on problem size 10, 10,000 times slower than on the D-Wave system. The point is, annealing is excellent at optimization. Gate model is not very good and likely never actually will be able to solve optimization problems. There's theory and experimental proof points that demonstrate that it's unlikely gate model systems will actually ever be able to solve optimization problems, but they are good at other things. In fact, the quote here is off the IBM website. We're still working to figure out how optimization will benefit from quantum. Clearly, they're not thinking about annealing. For example, the famous Grover search algorithm offers only a quadratic speedup over classical methods, and recent work has found that the overhead for running the algorithm with error mitigation might wash out any potential gains. That's the theory. The theory points to the fact that it's unlikely gate model systems will ever deliver a speed up on optimization problems, but annealing is excellent at it, and it is our bread and butter today. Now, despite all of this, don't be fooled by poor research and misleading headlines. Recently, there was some work published by a company called Qcontrol, and there were headlines along the lines of Qcontrol dethrones D-Wave. Okay? Well, you have to read the paper. Don't read the headlines. First of all, this is mostly classical. Very little quantum in that quantum. Secondly, the problems that they solved are actually easy classically. And finally, as I said a minute ago, the theory and the practice favors D-Wave when it comes to optimization. And the chart on the right makes this point clearly with respect to IBM gate model systems and D-Wave annealing quantum computers. This is now quantum processor to quantum processor, no classical involved. So problems are being solved natively on the quantum computer, and these are hard optimization problems, what's known as spin glass optimization problems. The IBM data comes from a paper that IBM recently published. They were able to get up to maybe around 50% of optimal. When we run the same problems on D-Wave systems, well, you can see where we are. Close to, if not, optimal solutions. This is an apples to apples comparison. So again, optimization is a really important problem class. It's low-hanging fruit for the use of quantum today. D-Wave's annealing quantum computers are excellent at solving this class of problems. Now, annealing quantum computers cannot solve all problems. For example, they're not particularly good at quantum chemistry or trying to design longer-lasting batteries. Gate model systems are much better for applications like that. And so we're in an environment where we have, in some sense, a bifurcation in the application environment for quantum. There are applications that will run well and likely always run well on annealing quantum computers. And gate model is probably unlikely ever going to be able to deliver value there. And then there are applications that will always run well on gate model, and annealing quantum computers will likely never be able to deliver value there. And so we just have to keep this in mind as we think about what quantum technology to use for the problems that we're trying to solve. Of course, we did announce that we are also building a gate model quantum computer, and as a result, at some point down the road, we will be the only company in the world delivering both annealing and gate in support of the full breadth of quantum applications. Okay, so what I wanted to do was spend some time today just going through the three important areas for D-Wave: product innovation, scientific advancements, and commercial traction. And we are laser focused on all three of these activities every single day. From product innovation, our flagship quantum computer is called Advantage. It's a 5,000 qubit system. There are 3 of them in our Leap quantum cloud service. And this is the primary quantum computer that our customers are using today. However, for the last couple of years, we have been working on our next generation Advantage 2 quantum computer. And we're making excellent progress with that system. If we just look at the timeline, a couple of years ago, we put a very early prototype version of that system into our Leap quantum cloud service. It was 500 qubits. It was the new architecture, higher connectivity than Advantage, small number of qubits, but fabricated using the same fabrication process that we used to build our Advantage quantum computer. Then, in early 2023, we were able to create a small 400 qubit version of that same architecture, Advantage 2 system, but in a new fabrication stack. The significance of the new fabrication stack is that it's all about higher energy, scale, and higher coherence. At the beginning of this year, we made a 1,200 qubit version of that Advantage 2 processor, new architecture, new fabrication stack, available in the Leap cloud service for anyone to use. And by the way, this system at 1,200 qubits is in some sense more powerful than our 5,000 qubit Advantage, older Advantage system. More on that in a minute. We are now at the point where we have fabricated and are calibrating 4,800 qubit versions of the Advantage 2 processor. We hope to make that available shortly, on our way to over 7,000 qubits, which is the ultimate goal for the Advantage 2 system. So why is Advantage 2 so much more powerful than Advantage? First of all, we doubled the coherence. And that's really important because higher coherence time means faster time to solution. I'm going to talk more about that in a minute when I talk about fast anneal. We increased the connectivity. In the Advantage system, each qubit is connected to 15 others. Now, each qubit is connected to 20 others, which allows us to solve larger problems. We've increased the energy scale of the processor by 40%, which means we can specify problems with higher precision and get higher quality solutions to the problems. And then, of course, we're on our way to increasing the qubit count beyond the 5,000 in the Advantage system. To date, since we put the 2 Advantage quantum computers in Leap, the 500 qubit older fabrication version and the newer 1,200 qubit version, over 8.5 million problems have been run on the Advantage 2 system. And the feedback has been phenomenal with respect to the performance of these systems. By the way, the quantum supremacy result that we put on the archive a few months ago was done on the Advantage 2 quantum computer. We started working on it on the older Advantage system. We're not able to get the result that we wanted or needed, but on the 1,200 qubit Advantage 2 processor, we were able to get the result, and we're very proud of that scientific accomplishment. So I mentioned fast anneal a minute ago. We recently launched a new protocol for controlling the quantum computer. It's called fast anneal. Essentially what it means is that we can run our annealing algorithm much faster than we were able to run it previously, and in fact, run it so that most of the time the anneal is running, we're in the coherent state with the quantum processor. The combination of the Advantage2 system and fast anneal was what allowed us to demonstrate in Nature 2023, last March a year ago, that the system is actually performing coherent quantum annealing, and that when the system is performing coherent quantum annealing, we get a scaling polynomial speedup over classical on spin glass optimization problems. It's also the fast anneal and the 1200 qubit advantage quantum computer that is what has allowed us to achieve the quantum supremacy result. And this is now available in LEAP for anybody to use as well. The graph at the right is simply showing the difference between the older annealing protocol, which is the graph at the top, and the fast anneal protocol, which is the graph at the bottom. The vertical axis is called kink density, but you can think of it as sort of the path you're traversing to get to the optimal solution. Lower is closer to optimal. And you can see how much better fast anneal is able to converge to the optimal solution than the older annealing protocol. But it doesn't stop there. This could be one of the most exciting charts in this whole presentation, at least when we're talking about breakthrough science. So the punchline in this chart is that the standard signature of a quantum computer is known as the violation of the Bell inequalities. And up until now, we've actually not been able to show that on the D-Wave quantum computer for a variety of different reasons. We've been able to show superposition, we've been able to show entanglement, we've been able to show tunneling, we've been able to show coherent quantum annealing, all the things that make a quantum computer and that allow us to use quantum mechanical effects to solve problems better than classical compute. But this one piece, which is an important piece, we haven't been able to show. We've now been able to demonstrate it. And we'll be talking a lot more about this going forward. But essentially, the way we're doing this is by having much more sophisticated control of the quantum computer. The way we got to this result is that we have some qubits that are actually acting as, if you like, processing qubits. We have other qubits that are being used to allow us to interrogate and read out data from the processing qubits while they're still in superposition. And we have yet other qubits that are being used to force the compute qubits into different energy regimes, ground state versus excited state. By doing this, we are starting to move down the path of doing digital as well as annealing quantum computing in the same processing fabric. This is allowing us to read out in a second basis, Z and X, and it's allowing us to demonstrate a violation of the Bell inequalities. And we're going to be doing a lot more work along this path going forward, and we believe it's going to open up some very interesting and important new application opportunities. Okay, I mentioned that we are also working on our gate model system. The reason we're working on a gate model system is A, we know that our customers have problems that cannot be solved with an annealing quantum computer and will require a gate model system. And we want to be able to provide the full suite of quantum technologies to solve their problems. And frankly, we'll be the only company able to do that because we're the only company in the world with the annealing piece of it. Secondly, a lot of the technologies that we develop for our annealing quantum computer are directly applicable to a scaled, error-corrected gate model system. And so we actually think that we're going to be able to move relatively sure-footedly toward that gate model quantum computer. By the way, there's a lot of synergy between the development of the annealing system and the development of the gate model system. They both require higher qubit coherence, and so our continuing investment in materials and fabrication processes to improve coherence will apply to both. I talked a minute ago about the ability to actually interrogate qubits while they're in superposition, that approach was actually developed as a part of our gate model program and then ported back into the annealing program. But we're making excellent progress with our gate model program as well. Beyond having demonstrated high coherence fluxonium qubits, we are using fluxonium rather than transmon qubits in our superconducting systems, to fast, scalable readout, 20 times faster than dispersive readout, which is what the other superconducting approaches to gate model are using. We completed the design of our first logical qubit, and now we're moving forward to demonstrate integrated control and qubits on the same chip, the ability to calibrate, to develop and calibrate logical qubits, and to do that in a scalable architecture. And it's not just about the hardware, it's also about the software. Our Leap Quantum Cloud service not only provides native access to the quantum computer, but it also provides access to a suite of hybrid solvers. This is using classical compute together with quantum compute. Over the years, we've developed 3 different hybrid solvers. Our current flagship solver is called the Constrained Quadratic Model Solver. That's what most of our customers are using. However, there's still opportunity for improvement, particularly when it comes to non-linear applications. These are applications where there are non-linear interactions between the variables. Think of the max of 2 variables. That's a non-linear interaction. And while our solvers are okay, they're not as good at those kind of interactions as we would like. So today, we're announcing the availability of a new hybrid solver that has been designed to really support non-linear programs, as well as much larger applications with up to 2 million variables and constraints. The graph here is on another kind of classic exponentially hard problem, the traveling salesperson problem. The orange circles were the results of our older CQM solver. The blue results are the results of our new solver focused on nonlinear programs. You can see with the new nonlinear solver, we are able to solve much larger problems and get much closer to optimal solutions. So we're really excited about this new solver. And in fact, we wanted to show it to you. And so I'd like to ask Alex Condello to join me up here. Alex, here he comes. Alex is our Senior Director of Algorithms, Performance, and Tools at D-Wave. It's his team that is responsible for this new solver. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at what we're able to do here.
Awesome. Thanks, Alan. Hey, everyone. So I'm really excited to be here today to show you a demo of our newest solver, our hybrid nonlinear program solver, available in Leap, as Alan just mentioned, as part of the portfolio of hybrid solvers that we have available in Leap. So if we could go ahead and put the demo up, thank you. So we wanted to show you a demo live of our solver. And because we're here in Boston, we thought it would be really fun to show you a Boston-themed demo. So specifically, I think most folks here will be familiar with the story of Paul Revere. But if you're not, in 1775, Paul Revere, William Dawes, and Samuel Prescott were dispatched to warn that the British were coming. In this demo, we're going to have them all leave from Paul Revere's house here in Boston and visit several of the different locations that Paul Revere went to before he was captured. We often forget that part of the story. So I'm going to go ahead and kick off a run of the solver. The thing that we're going to try to do here, as I mentioned, is optimize the travel distance, the total travel distance traveled by these 3 different folks. This is actually an example of a problem called open vehicle routing. I always want to call it open vehicle routing problem. The reason it's open vehicle routing is because unlike a lot of capacity vehicle routing or multi-vehicle routing problems, there isn't that sort of return back to the start. So you can see we were able to successfully route Paul Revere, William Dawes, and Sam Prescott on their routes. So,
yeah. But I could have done this in my head.
You could, and they did. So I thought it would be fun to, what we thought we would do is, let's bring this into the modern era. So before we were doing...
See, that's a cute touch, 1776 to 2024.
Yeah, 2024, yeah, that's right. So in this case, we wanted to stick with our theme of a sort of disaster response scenario. But in this case, rather than dispatching 3 riders to warn that the British is coming, we wanted to imagine something like a hurricane is approaching Boston and an evacuation order has been given. But you might imagine, and because this unfortunately does happen, that sometimes when this happens, some folks are not able to self-evacuate for one reason or another. Maybe they don't have a vehicle, maybe they have mobility issues that they're not able to easily self-evacuate, and they're looking to be helped. So in this case, we want to dispatch a set of buses. I'll go ahead and kick off the optimization. Oops, on classical, I guess this time, to pick up these different folks as efficiently and easily as possible. So in this case, again, I'm going to be giving it this sort of 5-second time limit. But I want us to talk a little bit about the formulation for this problem. So in this case, I'm solving it classically. I'm solving it on a solver called HIGHS. The reason that we picked HIGHS is because HIGHS is the best solver that we had best classical solver that we had available to this demo. But what you'll see is that actually, even for this relatively small problem and these 2 buses, it wasn't actually able to solve the problem at all. I can try to come back. Let's see if we can make this even a little bit easier and see if we can scale that down. We'll do one more. The reason that HIGHS is really struggling on this problem is because it can't do this sort of nonlinear solving that our new solver can. So specifically, when you try to map this problem to a linear formulation, the kind that HIGHS uses, you need to use n-squared variables in order to solve the problem. So these 20 locations turn into 400 locations, which vastly increases the difficulty of the problem. There we go. We were able to solve it now by going down to 20. So let's go ahead and contrast that to our NL solver. So our NL solver doesn't have that restriction. You don't need to use that n-squared variable count that you need to with a linear solver. In fact, we can represent this 20-location problem with a single variable with 20 integers in it. A much, much more efficient representation and a much better representation for solving this sort of problem, which ends up helping quite a bit in terms of our solution. So here's the solution found by the NL solver in the same amount of time. And when we compare them, we actually, we got about the same result, but remember I had to come down.
So the smaller problem classically got the same result as the larger problem.
When we went down to 20, classical was able to solve, and we were able to get approximately the same result in a 5-second time horizon. This is a relatively easy problem. So let's make it difficult. Rather than doing 2 buses and 20 locations, I'm going to do about 90 locations and 4 buses. So now we're really starting to crank up the difficulty here. This is well beyond what the classical solver is able to do. And specifically, we're doing a pretty good chunk of sort of northwest Boston here. This is now a very, very difficult problem, well beyond what I can do in my head. And this is really, truly where that n-squared problem kills the linear solvers. Now we're talking 10,000 variables in order to represent this problem, rather than the 100 that we're able to do with the NL solver, still with that 5-second time limit. So I should mention, and I probably should have mentioned off the top, that again, all of this is available right now in Leap. Alan mentioned this. It's available as of this morning. Here's the solution found by the NL solver within this time. It passes the eye test, even within this 5-second time horizon. Note that it has a capacity, which is why you sometimes see the bus do slightly odd routes. So I would really encourage anybody who's interested to try out this solver to do so. The latest Ocean was released, and the new solver is available today. And I'll be giving another talk a little bit later today, giving a next level of detail. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
So as Alex said, this solver is available in Leap today. Please go try it out. We're really excited about this new technology. And Alex and his team just continue to deliver amazing technology for us, so thank you. OK, I'm going to switch gears a little bit now and move from technology and product to science. And I mentioned a little bit earlier that we have published results over the years, everything from demonstrating superposition to entanglement to tunneling to a little over a year ago when we demonstrated coherent quantum annealing on our processor, that is annealing while the processor is coherent, to the most recent result. This result was published on the archive a few months ago. It is out for peer review now in a respected scientific journal. So far, there have been no challenges to it, and we're quite optimistic about how solid this result is, mostly because we worked with researchers around the world who are experts in all the different classical approaches to solving the problem that we solved here on our quantum computer, and we used arguably the most powerful supercomputer in the world, Frontier, at Oak Ridge National Lab, to run the classical algorithms. With all of that, what we've been able to do is to demonstrate for the first time ever on an important real-world problem, this is in the area of materials simulation, that the D-Wave quantum computer is able to solve this problem in about 20 minutes, whereas to solve that same problem at that same size would take well over 1 million years on the Frontier supercomputer. Truly quantum supremacy, using the best possible classical algorithms, even attempting to enhance those classical algorithms to see if you can break the result running on the fastest supercomputer in the world. Moreover, and just as important, if not more important, energy consumption. We were able to solve this problem, as I said, on our D-Wave quantum computer in about 20 minutes. We consume on the order of 12 kilowatt hours on the system. Solving this same problem classically on a GPU cluster would take well over global annual energy consumption. So not only is this technology fast and powerful, but it's also very energy efficient. And we're going to come back to that in a few minutes because we actually think that in an environment where there's more and more GPU usage and the power consumption is skyrocketing, quantum has the potential to really help solve that problem by doing some of the heavy energy consumption lifting in combination with the GPUs. But we're very excited about this result. So let me take a minute to kind of reinforce some terminology. I mentioned that we believe this is the first quantum supremacy result on a real-world problem that will be sustained. So what do I mean when I say quantum supremacy? Well, we are supporters of John Preskill's original definition of quantum supremacy, which is listed at the top right, solving a problem that can't be feasibly solved by classical computing. Okay? And that's what we believe we have demonstrated in the supremacy result. Now, there's some other terms that are floating around out there as well, quantum advantage and quantum utility. Right? So I want to spend a minute talking about those two as well, because there's a relationship here that I want to spend a minute on. Quantum advantage. There are many different industry definitions of quantum advantage. There's no one individual or one company that has really defined the standard for quantum advantage. But the general consensus is that quantum advantage is solving a useful problem better than it can be solved by classical computer. So in Preskill's original definition, the problem didn't have to be useful. And in fact, most of the supremacy results up until now that were all disproven were on uninteresting contrived problems. Okay? Ours was on a useful problem. Okay? So, you might argue that not only do we rise to the bar of quantum supremacy, but we also rise to the bar of quantum advantage. But then there's quantum utility. A number of different entities and some government entities have been using the term quantum utility. So what is quantum utility? Well, the way IBM defined it in their blog, solving a problem with reliable, accurate solutions that is beyond the reach of brute force, classical computing. Well, this is a problem we have with definitions in the industry. what we're seeing is that companies are trying to define terms to allow them to achieve it. Why would you add beyond the reach of brute force classical computing? You would only do that if that's the only bar you can achieve. Because frankly, brute force classical computing is not interesting. Nobody uses brute force. Hard problems are all solved using heuristics to try to get good solutions faster. You would never use brute force. But if that's the only way you can achieve the bar, you throw in the term brute force. We do not think that is a useful definition for quantum utility. And in fact, we think that reliable, accurate solutions really only applies if it's a useful problem. So in our view, the right way to think about this is quantum supremacy, as Preskill said, solving a problem that can't be solved feasibly by a classical computer. Quantum advantage, solving a problem better than it can be solved by classical computing, but it's a useful problem. Quantum utility, solving a useful problem that's beyond the reach of classical computing. And that's what this graph shows. Quantum utility really should be the highest bar. It's useful, not contrived, and it can't be solved classically. And so we actually think this is where we are today. We've demonstrated in our supremacy result the ability to solve a problem that can't be feasibly solved classically, and that is a useful problem. Frankly, nobody else has yet risen to any of these bars. Xanadu claimed it, but it was disproven. IBM claimed, disproven. Google claimed, disproven. They have a new paper out. We'll have to see how it goes. But we think this is a clear, crisp set of definitions that's helpful to the industry and the marketplace, not convoluted definitions that are designed just to help companies achieve, have the ability to say they've achieved something. Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit now and talk about applications and customers and partners. We're at a really important point in time right now. Hyperion just did a study of about 300 tech industry executives and technologists around quantum computing. And one of the things that came out of that study, you'll have an opportunity to hear about that tomorrow actually, is that the companies surveyed mostly expect to see a 20x ROI on the use of quantum in solving optimization problems. We, D-Wave, are making excellent progress in the market. We now have over 128 customers. In Q1, we had a 54% increase in bookings, and 69% of our revenue in Q1 was from commercial customers. Very much about helping customers solve real-world problems. Okay, what I want to do is spend some time talking about applications with some guests that are going to join me on stage in 3 important areas: quantum materials design, quantum AI, and quantum optimization. And we're going to spend a minute talking about each of these, starting with quantum materials design. And I'd like to ask Carlton Coffrin from Los Alamos National Labs to join me. Carlton? Hey, Carl. Hey. Have a seat. Okay, so basically what y'all are going to see is that I'm going to be a little bit like a yo-yo, where we have a guest that we sit, we have a guest we stand, we have a guest we sit. Anyway, Carlton, so you and the team at Los Alamos have been working on quantum for quite a few years, and in fact, working with the D-Wave system for quite a few years. Maybe you could spend a little bit of time telling us what you've been doing.
Sure. So at Los Alamos, we're one of the largest national labs in the United States, and we do all sorts of different physical science research. Lately at Los Alamos, we've been using D-Wave to explore condensed matter physics, optimization, and material science topics. I lead a number of large projects at Los Alamos around quantum computing.
And I know that you were pretty excited about A, the Advantage 2 system, B, the fast anneal, and have some thoughts on ways that that might be useful?
Oh, absolutely. So When we saw the Advantage 2 system come out, the claim was that it had a higher energy scale, lower noise, and better coherence time. Using the protocols we've developed over the years for benchmarking these systems, we were able to quickly verify the higher energy scale and the lower noise property. It is difficult to verify the higher coherence time without the fast anneal. But we're extremely excited about the release of that feature. Since the first paper came out in 2022, we've kind of been chomping at the bit to play with it. And now we're super excited that we have the time to do that. The theoretical physicists at LANL have kind of a huge list of ideas, and it's going to take us a while to work through them and really do some cool science.
Yeah. And we're quite excited about the opportunity to work with you as well. We think that the problem that we solved as part of the supremacy work could sort of be a starting point for some more sophisticated materials work.
Absolutely. So I should mention on the topic of materials that we do have a large project, which I lead at Los Alamos, trying to do quantum material discovery with the platform. It's based on a series of papers that have come out over the years that look at condensed matter theory research on your platform. And we believe, based on those papers, that there's a really strong case we can take it to the next level and really work with experimentalists and verify that real material samples have unique quantum properties.
We're really excited about the work. Thanks, Carlton.
Yep.
Appreciate you being here.
My pleasure.
Okay, let's switch gears a little bit and spend a few minutes talking about quantum AI. And I have two guests that are going to join me in this arena. The first one is Wojtek Fedorko, and I'd like to invite Wojtek to join me here on stage. Wojtek is with Triumph, which is affiliated with the University of British Columbia. How are you? Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now we stand.
All right.
Sit, stand, sit, stand.
Okay,
So first of all, for those people here who are not familiar with Triumph, maybe you could spend a few minutes just explaining what that institute is all about, what you do, and maybe some of the things that you do with the Hadron Collider.
Great. Yeah, so Triumph is much smaller than Los Alamos, but we're also a physics lab. We are accelerator-based physics lab, and we have a rich program on site in nuclear physics, material sciences, life sciences. And we're also supporting Canadian research ecosystem in access to global science. So access to big labs in Japan and access to the CERN lab, which is on the Franco-Swiss border in Europe. And in that, we can see now the picture of the main accelerator there. So that's a huge 27-kilometer ring, which accelerates protons and collides them in a number of experiments, and really studying the most fundamental topics in particle physics. So we've had a big discovery in 2012. A Nobel Prize was awarded for the theorists who proposed that model for the Higgs boson discovery, and now this lab is embarking on a decade-long research program to study that in much more detail. And it brings a number of very challenging technical problems with it. And one of the main problems is the computing problem. So in order to deliver that science, we need to run boatloads of simulations, basically. And this plot shows you our computation need. As on the x-axis you have the years as they go by, and on the y-axis is the computing need that we require to deliver that in millions of CPU years annually. And one of the most challenging problems there is to simulate interaction of single particles going into your detectors, and each of them produces this crazy shower of secondary particles. So that takes about 1 second to do on a CPU, and you basically need to run those millions of CPUs 24/7 to get enough simulations out.
So you're starting to use AI to help try to cut down the computational load. Maybe you can kind of talk a few minutes about that.
Exactly. So we're trying to basically mate the strengths of the annealing QPU to within a little bigger deep learning architecture and really use the QPU to its advantage, where it basically can generate a complex state very, very quickly. So you can do it in about 20 microseconds. And then we need to do a little bit of processing in a larger deep learning architecture, and basically, instead of using first principles simulations, create synthetic data that looks exactly like our first principles simulation. So on the picture here, you can basically see one of those showers as it goes into the detector, and each of those voxels is how much energy those secondary particles deposited in that region. And so we see very encouraging results, and we can do it. We go down from 1 second for the first principles-based simulation to a few hundred microseconds, and we even compare better to classical GPU-based deep learning models as well by about an order of magnitude.
So the idea is try to use AI to help deal with the computational challenges that that traditional approaches are creating.
Sprinkle a little quantum.
And then add quantum, and early returns are showing that by incorporating the D-Wave quantum processor, you're actually able to see significant decrease in time to actually compute these solutions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great.
So we're very encouraged by this.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so that was AI in the scientific world, and we're really excited about the early progress that's being made there. And,
Thank you.
and this is kind of starting to demonstrate the value that we think we're going to be able to see by bringing quantum and AI together to actually, on the one hand, create better, more accurate models, and on the other hand, create more efficient models to be able to kind of build the models, generate the samples faster and with lower energy consumption. Now I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about AI in the commercial world, and I'd like to invite John Zurio from Zapata AI to join me up on stage. John? Hey, John, how are you? Good. You get to sit. You get to sit.
Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, John, maybe you could tell everybody a little bit about Zapata AI.
Yeah, for sure. And it's great to be here. We have a bunch of Zapatistas here in the audience, so seek us out.
That's what you call Zapatistas?
Zapatistas.
Okay, I'll remember that.
We have our little vocabulary. Zapata, founded in 2017 by a handful of brilliant data scientists out of Harvard lab and a professor. Based here in Boston, and we'll get into that a little bit later today in terms of our place in the community here. But we had a very strong belief then, as we do now, with some of your remarks earlier, that there is a distinct quantum advantage in terms of generative AI as a demonstrable way to prove quantum advantage initially, and we've been working that since that time. So we've been doing this quite a long time, and we're just getting started, frankly. I think the theme, as you're laying out, is these things are now coming to coalesce around a commercial advantage.
Exactly. And we did announce a partnership with Zapata a number of months ago to really take quantum-enabled AI to the market. And we're excited about that work. I think what we saw in the Triumph discussion was that there are very important early indications of the power that quantum can add to AI. And now I know that you all have seen similar early indications of the power that quantum can add to AI, and so we're really excited about moving that ball forward as well.
No, that's right. And I think, a little bit of as we have our customer conversations, the whole world has been trained that AI automatically equates to LLM. Rightly or wrongly, but it's a much bigger problem, right? And we're seeing with some of our clients and our prospects and our earlier conversations with our partners, D-Wave, a huge part of that, is the growth in overall data, structured, unstructured, IoT, all these contributing factors are making this a much bigger problem and therefore bigger compute workloads. And now that this has become center stage, customers are coming to us looking for help, and with our partnership looking for help. Help us figure this out. If I'm a business owner, I have big problems. The boss said, go do AI. Okay, the whole world agrees we must do AI. What does that mean from an execution standpoint? There are practical constraints in any Fortune 500 company. There's only so much money to go around. Everyone's pulling and tugging at that investment. Help us understand, guys, how can we do that in a way that's, because we've got these budget constraints, that's much less compute, but still delivers ROI and benefit.
Exactly. And what are some of the application areas that you see?
It runs the gamut, frankly. I mean, we're talking everything from drug discovery to biomanufacturing. We'll be announcing some interesting partnerships shortly, as well as within telcos. Is there a world where we can eliminate outages or massively optimize networks? And we're talking billions of nodes. Supply chain optimization, a lot of the themes that you've already mentioned are now becoming a reality that we can optimize these things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm particularly excited about quantum AI for 3 reasons. One, I think it has the potential for more accurate models, which I've already mentioned. 2, I think it has the potential for much more energy efficient AI. And 3, I think quantum and AI working together are going to deliver a lot of value. You just alluded to this, the idea being that maybe you use AI to kind of forecast demand, and then you can use quantum to try to optimize the supply chain to meet that demand.
Exactly.
It's a lot of synergy.
That's right, and I think there's an element of maturity and readiness inside the kind of the Fortune 500 corporate environment where we're helping find on-ramps to quantum, or I should say generative AI enabled by quantum. And there are some more simplistic use cases, document production, those types of things, in parts of the, I'd say, non-core part of the corporation, which are now becoming more central to, as I said, the telcos running their network. That's mission critical to helping biotechs and pharmas. Can I leapfrog my competitors by speeding up drug discovery and biomanufacturing? So something that was 36 months, 2-3 years, can we take that down to 18 months? That's a huge benefit.
Exactly. This is great. Well, we're really looking forward to this partnership moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Thank you.
Okay. Now we're going to spend some time talking about optimization. We spent some time on materials. We spent some time on AI. I know we're moving quickly, but they only gave me a certain amount of time. And so now we're going to talk about optimization. And I'd like to invite Dana Lynette to join me up on stage. Dana is with Artificial Brain. Hey, how are you? So we're actually going to do a little bit of demo this time. I'm going to stand on this side of you, if that's okay. That way
that's great.
I don't have my back to everybody else.
Yes, so good morning, everyone. And I want to also thank you for inviting Artificial Brain to speak at Qubits. It's my first Qubits. D-Wave has been a superb partner to Artificial Brain, and it's really allowed our research to take off, so we appreciate the time. So Artificial Brain is a quantum computing software company that builds applications for space, defense, and energy. So today I'm going to preview a quick space application, and then we'll pivot and I'll do the live demo on the energy application.
Okay, let's go. So let's talk about this satellite application.
Yes. So this first application was built to optimize the scheduling of Earth observation satellites that are mainly operating in lower Earth orbit. But certainly this could be operated, you could do this for scheduling of a multitude of constellations in lower Earth orbit, middle Earth orbit, or geostationary orbit. But our demo focuses on lower Earth orbit. Right now, overhead, there are thousands of satellites targeting millions of places on Earth, whether looking at...
Yes, you are being
you are
filmed.
being watched. Whether it's in traffic or wildfires or even complex defense operations and intelligence operations. Everyone's watching all the time. So we're one of those millions of targets. But this becomes really complex because different targets have different prioritizations and different business values. And this becomes even more complex when you think of the fact that in defense alone, they are going to put up a minimum of, several thousand satellites and constellations. They will also work in a combined joint defense concept where they could work with foreign government satellites, and they can also simultaneously pull from commercial satellites. So this is really a very, very difficult problem to solve. Satellites also have different capabilities in their optics on board, so they can see through weather, or they can see through sandstorms, or they're looking in the dark or at night. There's downlink times and energy constraints, so you have a multitude of constraints And again, you could be looking at millions of targets. For our little purpose, we did 3 satellites looking at 100, 1,000, or sorry, using constraints of 100 constraints, 1,000 constraints, 6,000 constraints, and then 12,000 constraints. And we ran that against the best known optimizer. We ran it on D-Wave's hardware. But in our software application, we were able to solve this problem in 35 milliseconds, and we were able to satisfy 100% of the constraints. Now, Gurubi was only able to satisfy about 68% of the constraints, and it went into, 68% accuracy, and it went into infinite loop after about 6,000 constraints. So when you start adding these very, very complex factors, a classical optimizer cannot solve this problem, and only the quantum computing could. So again, if you have any, if anything I say up here today, you're wondering, where can I get information? We have to go very fast. We have 4 published papers with IEEE, so you can go to them, or you can come to our website at artificialbrain.us and get more.
Thanks, Dana. Now we're going to show a quick demo of a second application.
Yes, so this is how easy literally it is to use our Planck software and interface. So I'm going to drop an Excel spreadsheet with some energy data here. And line 0, line 1, and line 2, I don't know if you can see it.
So let's start with just defining the problem.
No, that's okay, because I'm going to explain what this is.
Great.
Yes. So if you look at line 0, line 1, and line 2, let's just call these different times a day. And then you have a fossil energy fuel source number 1. That could be a coal-fired plant. You could have another type of coal-fired plant and another type of plant. And then you have the capacities. And you would do the same for solar, for wind, and so on. So if we just drag, well, that's not working there. Okay, so if you just consider that there's a multitude of sources operating with multiple constraints. We ran this application, here, let me just run it. Okay, so let's just go here with the submit to the quantum computer. So literally, we've dropped and dragged. It's running, and while it's running, I can tell you that we ran this for 2,000 consumer households using only 30 energy sources, and this produced 60,000 variables. So in this real-life demo, when we're not on stage, we can solve this problem in 16 milliseconds. In reality, we're dealing with millions of consumer households with thousands of energy sources, especially when you consider EV charging and discharging and solar home use and so on. Everyone's a prosumer, a consumer that's producing. And so you put that on top of the traditional and emerging technologies. This has already been solved. And you would have a very difficult time with millions of constraints. So here we have the different times of day running, and you could see what the total cost from each of the types of energy sources, and that was all optimized. Again, not something that a classical computer could solve. So I hope this has provided a little bit of a demo, just how easy it is, drop and drag and compute on D-Wave.
Thanks, Dana.
Thank you so much, and I enjoyed.
This was excellent.
Yeah, looking forward to speaking with everyone a little later.
Okay, so again, this is really compelling. The idea is you've got all kinds of energy sources. It could be battery, it could be solar, it could be wind, it could be fossil fuel. There's certain amounts of energy that are available from each of them. Then there's the demand. And demand might include how much renewable you want, or other constraints. And this application will figure out the proper allocation of each of those energy sources to meet the demand. So very interesting application. And as Dana said, very hard to solve classically, but great on our quantum computer. Okay, I'd now like to ask Damir Bogdan from Quantum Basel to join me. Hey, Damir.
Hello. Hi.
Okay, so we've had a relationship, Damir, with you and Quantum Basel for well over a year, almost 2 years now. And I thought it might be good to start with you just telling everybody what Quantum Basel is all about. How did it get started, and what are y'all up to?
So how much time do we got? So thank you.
3 minutes.
Thank you for inviting me back, as I've been here last year already. So Quantum Basel is a private finance initiative. You will hear more afterwards about me and Quantum Basel, but to make the most important points here, we want to democratize the access for quantum computing for industries, because there are a lot of challenges here, not just hardware challenges, not just software challenges, but also economical, what is the value behind quantum computing? And so our investor wants to do something against the potential deindustrialization of a nation, firstly, and secondly, he also wants to reach some goals in terms of sustainability. More about that. So Quantum Basel is the answer to this. We try to bring in different kind of quantum hardwares together. We try to build up an ecosystem consisting of startups, of university partners, and of those companies with which we see that we can create the future. And this is why we are collaborating with D-Wave.
Yeah, we're really thrilled to be working with you. Can you maybe talk about some of the joint projects that are underway?
Sure. I mean, first of all, we have been founded 18 months ago, but we are proud already in this field, in the quantum annealing, to have a couple of projects, which one of them already going towards production. So one is with Advanced Energy. There we took a large volume problem, which a lot of computational challenges, network generation for HVAC solutions, so everything regarded to heating, ventilation, air conditioning for complex manufacturing buildings. We made this project, we finished it, there are great results. I will talk about this a little bit later. Second one was with BKW. This is an energy provider in Switzerland, $5 billion turnover. There we started to optimize the panels, solar panels on buildings with batteries and electric grid. I will talk about those results later as well. And the third one is we just started with Hermes, this logistic company in Germany, and there is about last mile delivery as well, something completely new. They already had a solution. Now we are putting in more complexity. And I'm glad to be able then to present this afterwards.
Yeah, this is great, Damir, and I'm sure everybody's looking forward to hearing more about these. This has been an amazing partnership. We've been working really well together. Your relationships throughout Europe with all the large companies has been instrumental in really opening up opportunity, and we're thrilled about what the future holds. Thank you.
Same for me. Thank you, Ellen, for this cooperation. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Okay, and Lindsay Dukowski from Pattison Food Group. Lindsay's going to join me up here to talk a little bit about the work that they are doing with our quantum systems. Pattison Food Group was actually one of our first customers, and their progression in the use of quantum has been just amazing. Lindsay?
Hi, nice to see you.
Let's see. Okay, so Lindsay, why don't you tell us about your quantum journey?
Sure. So yeah, we're a grocery chain based in Western Canada, Western US. And we started looking at a partnership with D-Wave a few years ago, just to solve some of our optimization problems in our retail environment. And we actually went live in October 2022 with our first application, which is an e-com driver auto scheduling application. And yeah, just this year, really rolling out our second product with Quantum for auto scheduling in our stores.
And so I know that for the first application, we actually helped you to build that application. Why don't you talk about the second application?
The second one we did on our own. It was really, really easy. So I have a very talented team. They learned a lot. We had a lot of support with D-Wave, kind of exploring how we could leverage the technology to solve our problems with auto scheduling, things that we had tried to solve with classical compute and weren't successful with. And yeah, D-Wave came in, we did a POC, it worked, and then yeah, helped us with the productionization, but really, yeah, the system just works. So we did a lot of it on our own, and applying it to that second product was very easy.
So, Lindsay, you said two things that I think are really important. One was that after working with us on the first one, it was actually pretty straightforward for you to be able to build the next application yourself. And I think that's all about the tools and the methodology and our ability to kind of help your team get up to speed. And then the second important point is that you tried classically and weren't able to get it to work. And I know that you shared some thoughts a few months ago with us around this. Maybe you can just say a little bit more about some of the things you looked at or tried that just didn't work out.
Yeah, so I mean, anything we can do in our environment to optimize processes in the stores has a ton of benefit. That's one of our largest costs is our labor in our stores. So we've been trying really for decades to try to buy a system that could do auto scheduling for us, because that's one of our most manual processes, most time-consuming processes. And we haven't been able to find something. So we've been looking at top vendors in the space for workforce management and scheduling, and they've promised they could do it. When we brought them in, gave us our data, they admitted, no, sorry. Our environment's pretty complicated. We have over 13 different collective bargaining agreements, unionized environments. The scheduling rules are just too complex to be solved with classical compute. So yeah, it couldn't be done.
Yep. And you now have 2 applications in production.
We do, yes.
This is great.
Yeah.
All right, Lindsay, thank you.
Thanks.
Good job. Okay, one more before we get to summarizing what we've discussed today. I'd like to ask Dale Moore from Davidson Technologies to join me. Hey, Dale.
How you doing, Alan?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, my pleasure. It says special announcement. I guess we'll get to that in a minute, but maybe you could start by just telling everybody who Davidson is and what y'all do.
Sure, Alan. And I was here last year at Qubits. Thank you for the invite again. And I'm excited to speak a little bit later on today about some of the interesting work that we're doing with D-Wave. Davidson Technologies is an advanced technology firm based in Huntsville, Alabama. Our primary focus is providing unique solutions to our national security customers for the United States defense environment. So we build software, we build algorithms, artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms, we build cybersecurity platforms, a number of things that we are looking at relative to how to advance technology in the defense of our country.
So why are you here?
Well, I have a special announcement, obviously.
And what is that announcement?
So I am really thrilled and pleased to announce that we, with D-Wave as a partnership, are bringing an Advantage system to our new headquarters in Huntsville, Alabama, sometime in the next 8 to 10 months. And it will be the first system, second US-based system for D-Wave. Yep. Obviously the first in Huntsville in the state of Alabama, which is a great place for this type of technology. If you're not familiar with Huntsville and its history, going back to the Apollo programs, the mission to the moon under President Kennedy, the town is ripe for this type of innovation, and the state of Alabama is a big supporter of how we advance technology to support not just the defense applications, but commercial space and other components of what we're doing in this country to be a leader in technology.
And eventually, we'll put this system in a secure place for running sensitive applications.
That is correct. So we are building out our facility. So we have a brand new facility that opened in April. A part of that facility is going to house this computer, and we are working to get it to a secure environment where we can really utilize the technology to solve some very complex problems for the national security programs of the United States.
Thanks, Dale.
Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it.
Okay, now it's time to summarize, and I want to do that actually by telling you all a story. Now, I really tried to resist costume changes this year. Thank you, Babette. Oh, wow, thank you. But I failed. Okay, in case you can't tell, this is my smoking jacket. not really my smoking jacket, but let's call it a smoking jacket. Oh, look at this. Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to read you a story. This is a story of D-Wave's steady race to a superposition. Once upon a time, in a beautiful place where the sea meets the mountains, a quantum computing company was born, D-Wave. From the day it came into existence more than 25 years ago, D-Wave has had a clear mission: to harness the incredible power of quantum technology and put it to use in solving our most challenging problems. It's not the largest or the loudest character, but rather brings a customer-focused, scientifically validated, and ever-measured approach to building successful quantum businesses. Much like the Aesop fable, The Tortoise and the Hare, D-Wave, the tortoise, hasn't always been recognized for its ability to fiercely compete. This is a story of vision, resilience, conflict, execution, and ultimately success. All the great things that a story needs to have. As with many of our favorite stories, this one is also filled with villains who are eager to take down those they fear. So on its journey to becoming the world's first commercial quantum computing company, D-Wave has had to fight many battles, slay many dragons, and protect the voices of those seeing great outcomes with its solutions. In 2011, D-Wave executed the first sale of a commercial quantum computer. In doing so, we woke up the entire industry. What had been primarily technology explored in academic settings was now capable of commercial value. Things would never be the same. But the naysayers quickly took to the airwaves to discredit D-Wave, downplay its technology, even call into question its quantumness. As our hero, D-Wave, for those of you following along with the fable, embarked on its quest to beat the hare. You all know who I'm talking about. It's big tech and critics. It came across a series of signposts designed to slow its progress even further. The first signpost that the tortoise came across claimed that D-Wave isn't real quantum. Now, the tortoise recognized that there were many early claims around this, but over time, there have been numerous peer-reviewed papers showing that D-Wave systems were operating with quantum mechanics. These papers showed unambiguously the quantum effects, specifically quantum tunneling, are at play in problem solving in D-Wave systems. They showed unambiguous evidence of entanglement between qubits in its annealing quantum computer, and they showed that classical descriptions are not enough to describe QPU outputs. You need to include quantum mechanics to explain the data. Despite these misleading claims, the tortoise continued steadily on his path. The second signpost that the tortoise came across claimed that D-Wave isn't useful for anything. Our friends at Google inaccurately said that tensor networks can do anything D-Wave can do. IBM said quantum annealing will not offer a meaningful speed up over classical computing, a claim that to this minute exists on their website, if you can believe it. Seriously, thought the tortoise. This has been disproven by multiple scientific studies and research papers from both D-Wave and from the broader research community. Critics also shared research that quantum annealing, and therefore D-Wave, wouldn't be better than quantum Monte Carlo for solving to optimality. While the result was sound, it was not general. D-Wave indeed proved theoretically and experimentally a scaling advantage against quantum Monte Carlo in recent papers published in Nature Communications and Nature. Recognizing these as misleading claims, the tortoise continued steadily on his path. Down the road, the next signpost the tortoise came across claimed that gate model systems capable of delivering value in all classes of problems are just around the corner. It noted that no further research, only simple engineering was required to develop a scaled and error-corrected gate model system. No research, the tortoise snorted in disbelief. The signpost highlighted that several companies developing gate model systems expect to be at sufficient scale and low enough error to be commercially valuable in just a few years. Yet the tortoise mused, there's no evidence that a non-error-corrected gate model system can do anything useful. And the tortoise knew that significant research was still required to achieve true gate model error correction and scale. The signpost also made misleading statements about gate model's ability to solve optimization problems, claims that gate model is universal and will make annealing quantum computing obsolete. But the tortoise was confident in the theoretical research from academic experts across the globe that gate model systems would likely never be useful for optimization. Despite the misleading claims, the tortoise continued steadily on his path, unflappable and more determined than ever. The tortoise then saw an unbelievable sight. The hare was just ahead of him and was looking at an enticing hole in the trunk of a tree. In a flash, the hare jumped down the hole and left the race. Sorry to mix fables. But as the tortoise approached, he saw the final signpost that caused the hare to jump. He had gone down the NISC rabbit hole. Rather than finishing the race to a commercially and scientifically valuable quantum computer, he was now going to waste his time building unscalable NISC gate systems despite having no evidence they'd be useful. And that was that. The tortoise smiled from ear to ear as he reached the finish line. His steady yet remarkable progress brought him to the end. He reflected on the achievements along the way that were key to passing the sleeping hare and capturing victory for himself. Increased qubit count from 2,000 qubits in 2017 to 5,000 plus in 2022. Consistent ongoing increase in connectivity to solve larger problems. Increased energy scale for better problem precision. Fabrication stack changes to support increasingly coherent quantum processors. Fast anneal supporting unprecedented computational speeds. We believe, first, to show that true quantum supremacy and utility are possible on a real-world problem. Next-generation annealing protocols and qubit readout capable of reading out in more than one basis and demonstrating a violation of the Bell inequality. And we're really just getting started. Does the story have a happy ending? We certainly believe so, and we welcome other tortoises to join us in continuing the race to build powerful and lasting technology. Thank you all for your time.
My name is Murray Tom. I'm going to be your MC and host for the conference, and I'm really looking forward to spending the next 2 days with you. At D-Wave, my title is the Vice President of Quantum Technology Evangelism. So my primary responsibility is to help global businesses and organizations to understand quantum computing and the transformational impact it can have for them today. Now, we have like a worldwide audience. For those of you who are watching remotely, welcome, and we're really looking forward to having the thousands of you with us today to watch all of the conference events and presentations and demos. And for those of you who are here, I'm really looking forward to speaking with many of you throughout the conference event and during our networking sessions, which will be fantastic. We're going to be taking questions through the Chime platform. So on the bottom left of your screen, if you're watching online, there's an Ask Q&A button, and you can send us questions, and I'll be able to read them. In just a moment, I'm going to ask Alan back out here. We're going to ask Alan a couple of questions. And during the event, I'll also let you know when we're going to be having sessions that they're going to have Q&A. And send those in because also, we review that and the speakers review that, and it helps provide feedback because we're all here to share information with you and make sure that that information is of value and is clear and communicative. So there's that. Also, I want to acknowledge, actually back one slide, please, that this is a truly global event. We have many people who have traveled here from Europe, from the UK, Ireland, Spain, the Netherlands, France, Switzerland, Germany, and Italy. And we've also have many of you who have traveled from different countries in Asia, including Japan, India, Thailand, and South Korea. So we really appreciate that you've all taken the time to travel out and meet with us. We're so honored to have you here for these 2 days. So let's have Alan come back out for our question and answer session on the keynote presentation. Hey, Alan. Great to see you. Great to see you.
Good to be here.
Yeah. So first question here is, you talked about the results from Q-Control, and I think that many people in the audience resonate with this question, which is quantum computing is already complicated. There's research papers coming out which are a little bit hard to discern for the non-experts. What's the way to make that clearer?
Yeah. So first of all, we at D-Wave went through what I'll characterize as a dark period. I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, we ended up making some statements that were, frankly, overstatements. And we got slammed very, very hard for doing that. We were just way out in front of our skis. And we, from that point on, said that we would always be careful, thoughtful, scientifically grounded, measured in everything we do. We would not make a statement or put out a result unless we had confidence that it was scientifically sound and could be backed up. Unfortunately, I think in their desire to demonstrate progress, we're seeing way too many companies in the quantum space now get out in front of their skis. And unfortunately, since they're all kind of in it together, they're not checking one another. Mm-hmm. And so we end up seeing way too many results and papers that are just overstatements of reality. And we need to stop letting that happen. We need to monitor that. We need to police that. We do it. When we see a paper that one of our customers has written on a result using our system, if we can't repeat it, if we can't justify it, we'll say no. No, do not talk about this. This is not a solid result. We just need to hold the industry accountable.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about being grounded and also being able to relate to their experience, right? The customer experience. From that perspective, we've got folks who are, approaching this industry in terms of, the definitions we were talking about earlier. I mean, we've got, quantum advantage, quantum supremacy, quantum utility. I mean, what do you kind of hear from customers who are coming to the industry? What are the signposts that they're looking for? What of all of them, what might be the key ones?
Well, mostly what I'm hearing is confusion, right? I mean, there must be, you can't even count the number of different definitions of quantum advantage, right? That's starting to happen with quantum utility. The problem is, as I said, that every company is trying to come up with a definition that they think they can achieve with their system so that they can say, I've achieved it. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't help anybody, right? If I'm trying to figure out what is this quantum computer actually capable of doing, and is it something that I should be investigating or working with, if the definitions don't help me figure that out, they're of no value. And that's why we need clear, clean definitions.
One last very quick question. I mean, you talked about a Bell inequality result. What's the significance of doing a Bell inequality result in the commercial quantum processors?
Yeah. So, as I said when I mentioned this a few minutes ago, the violation of the Bell inequality is the canonical signature of a quantum computer. Now, there are many other things that we believe are important as well, but typically when an academic asks, is this quantum computer really a quantum computer, they look to see if it's able to perform a computation that violates the Bell inequality. And until recently, that's been something that has been hard for us to demonstrate on our quantum systems, but we've now just been able to do that. So it's really just another proof point around the quantumness and the power of our quantum systems.
Fantastic, Alan. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Murray.
Looking forward to it. Next 2 days.
Thank you.